You are not going to see a capitulation from this show and from this network to that thug who is going to be occupying the building 2 blocks from this studio. What you're not going to see are the sort of silly, ridiculous things that you've heard come from so-called progressive folks at the Young Turks, like Yank Ugar and Anna Kasprin, who frankly have been sounding more MAGA than anything else. What you're not going to see are the people like Jimmy Dore, who sound like Bernie bros, who turn into right-wing MAGA supporters. What you're not going to see is anybody, definitely not this show and this network, kissing the ass of Donald Trump and these MAGA people. We know that they are awful for black people. We know that they are awful for righteous Americans. And the problem that we have right now is that we have too many journalists, especially mainstream white media. They are scared to death of Donald Trump. They are running around, oh my goodness, what is he going to say about me and tweet about me? Well, we don't actually care. What you are going to hear every single day until we run these thugs out of power is you're going to hear the truth. You're going to hear everything about them. You're going to hear what they do, but also what they do not do. And I'm telling you right now, this is a moment that requires people of courage. This is a moment that requires journalists, it requires editors, it requires photographers, videographers, it requires panelists on this show who have the courage, who understand decency, who have morals, values, principles, and ethics, things that Donald Trump and his appointees do not have. These people are simply our enemy. This is not about getting along with them. This is not about, sitting down and hearing them out. We heard from them since he led the birther attacks. We heard from them since he came down that escalator attacking immigrants, attacking migrants, attacking people who are not like them. We heard the shameful, despicable things that he and Melania Trump and J.D. Vance said about then President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. We heard the things that they said about President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. And let's be perfectly clear, Donald Trump has done nothing to earn being called president. That's why you will never hear him referred to as president by me on this show. It is not going to happen. See, we talk about celebrating Dr. King. One thing that Dr. King said is that just because it is a law does not mean it is a just law. Just because people have a title don't mean you have to call them by that title. What is required in this moment are people who are willing to be truth tellers. What is required in this moment are people who are not willing to bend the knee, who are not willing to bow down, who are not willing to accept people who are in power just because they are in power. What it requires are people of conscience, people of faith who have integrity, who have morals and values. What it requires are people who understand the stakes. Because you cannot be a black journalist, you cannot work in black-owned media if you don't have the courage of a Frederick Douglass and an Ida B. Wells Barnett and a Robert Abbott and a John Sinstack and a Louis Martin. You can't have the courage of an Alice Dunnigan. You can't say you don't have the courage of an Ethel Payne and a Chuck Stone and a John H. Johnson and Lerone Bennett and a Simeon Booker. You cannot say you don't have the courage of an Earl Graves and an Ed Lewis and a Gordon Parks and a Susan Taylor and the brothers and sisters who ran newspapers and magazines, who worked in black radio, the early pioneers of African Americans in television. See, if there's any moment to actually show who you are, it is when you are facing fascists, when you are facing racists, when you're facing white supremacists. Now is not a moment for people of integrity to run and cower. Days after the election, there were people who said that they were just so despondent, angry, and depressed that they were giving up. I heard that from folks who were baby boomers and Generation X and Generation Y and Gen Z and millennials and now Generation Alpha. But you today cannot be somebody who is willing to run and cower and give up and move somewhere else because you don't like what is going on. Do understand, every single one of us with breath in our body today stands on the shoulders of ancestors who could not afford to fly off with their passport, who could not afford to go somewhere else. And so if you truly say you're a person of integrity and you care about the ancestors, well, have the guts and the courage of a Paul Robeson. Have the guts and the courage of a Harry Belafonte. Have the guts and the courage of a Ruby Dee and an Ossie Davis. Have the guts and the courage of individuals who understood how they were being attacked. Understand having the courage of a Josephine Baker, of a Martin Delaney, of a William Monroe Trotter who was thrown out of the White House by that racist President Woodrow Wilson. Now is the moment when we will see the folks who actually are freedom fighters and the folks who have been playing imposters. Now we're going to see whether we have people who truly care about the downtrodden, the poor, the oppressed, the folks who have no voice, or whether or not you're going to suck up to power like Mark Anderson and Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos. Folks, you heard me say when he was there last time, this means war. And this means a greater war than it was last time. This is about being in the battle for the soul, not only of the nation, but the soul of the world. And now is not the time for the weak and impotent. Now is the time for folks who have strength. And that, people, is where we have to be. And my last point, when Bill Russell, and I'm wearing his hoodie that celebrated his 90th birthday. When Bill Russell, when the Celtics told him they were going to retire his jersey, Bill Russell said, I will do so under certain conditions. First and foremost, it will not be a public ceremony. Bill Russell said he was not going to stand there at half court and have thousands of Boston Celtics fans yelling and screaming and clapping when the city of Boston was violently racist in how they treated him. He said, I will only allow my jersey to be retired if the stadium is empty. And the only people who are going to be there will be my fellow ball players. Red Auerbach had to agree to those terms in order for Bill Russell to allow his jersey to be retired. But did you also know that Bill Russell, when he was inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame, didn't show up? Bill Russell didn't show up because Abe Saperstein, who led the Harlem Globetrotters, had already been celebrated. And Bill Russell said it was Abe Saperstein who contributed to black ball players not being in the NBA because he said he would not bring the Harlem Globetrotters to a city, to an NBA arena, if they drafted black ball players. See, Bill Russell was a man of integrity. Bill Russell was a man who got on one knee with the Presidential Medal of Freedom around his neck to stand in support of Colin Kaepernick when he needed. What is required today of folk who have the intestinal fortitude, who have the consciousness, who have the care of a Bill Russell. This moment in time will challenge every single one of you, and it will show what kind of person you really are. Will you make excuses and stand with the wretched, evil people who are about to occupy 1600 Pennsylvania? Or will you be one of the people staying on the outside, making it clear that you're going to give them holy hell every single day they're in that building. Rest assured, you know exactly where I'm going to be. Right here, 2 blocks away, outside those gates, willing to kick their asses every single day for the next 4 years. Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. You heard what we just talked about there. Folks, I can't reiterate this enough. Listen to me clearly. I cannot reiterate this enough. When you've got technology companies running scared, when you've got legacy media not doing their job, when you've got Black-owned media that is disintegrated, now is more than ever for us to have independent media that cares about the truth, that is willing to say what needs to be said. So when you support Roland Martin Unfiltered, this show, when you support the Black Star Network, you're not just supporting me, you're supporting the other shows. Our goal is to add 2 more shows this year. We want additional shows. We want more weekly and daily shows because we want to be able to speak truth to power. We want to be able to say what is necessary where other people are scared. And when you are scared, when you're looking over your shoulder, oh my God, that advertising contract is not going to come in. Well, guess what? A lot of these major ad agencies, they're not even supporting us anyway. You know, in 6 years of doing this show, Group M hasn't done a damn thing with us. Publicis hasn't done anything with us. You've got Horizon, you've got all of these folks, they haven't done jack. And so we are calling it like we see it, and we're speaking truth. And unlike some of these other so-called progressives and people who believe in truth, I'm not running around trying to kiss MAGA ass and kiss Trump's ass. I won't be going to Mar-a-Lago, not for a damn thing. And so this is about us being able to speak truth. So when you support this show and this network with your resources, that is exactly what is happening, because we are trying to build something that is bigger and broader, and actually it has the courage to say what needs to be said, even when it makes other folk uncomfortable. If you want to contribute giving Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. This is it right here. And if you are listening, simply go to blackstarnetwork.com to check it out. Also, if you want to see your checking money order, some of y'all old school, we understand that. See your checking money order to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 2003 7-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. And again, folks, we've got some 4 million social media followers. If only 20,000 of our fans contribute at least $50 each, which comes out to $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day, that's $1 million. It allows us to be able to continue to build, to add these shows and do the work that's required. So your support is needed. So please join our Bring the Funk fan club today. If you've not already joined, if you have given to us in the past, please renew your commitment, because it's important that we support Black-owned media, because Black-owned media matters.